There is a silent epidemic happening in the lives of parents over 50. It's not talked about at dinner parties or shared on social media. It is the quiet, aching reality of distance from an adult child. You raised them, you loved them, you launched them, and now you feel like you've lost them. The visits are sparse, the calls are transactional, and the closeness you once shared feels like a ghost story. But you are not alone in this. Today, we turn to the profound insights of Viktor Frankl to understand why this painful distance is so common, why it hurts so deeply, and how you can find a new, resilient meaning in the space between you. Turning 50 is often portrayed as a time of freedom, the empty nest, the golden years, the time to reclaim your life. But for many, it is a time of profound grief. The nest isn't just empty, it feels abandoned. You watch your adult children build their own worlds that seem to have no room for you. You feel like a spectator in a life you used to direct. This distance triggers a crisis of relevance. Do I still matter? Was I just a utility to them? Did I do something wrong? These questions loop in your mind, eroding your self-worth. The pain is compounded by the cultural expectation that families should be close. When yours isn't, you feel a secret shame, as if you have failed the ultimate test of adulthood. However, Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who found meaning in the most desolate of circumstances, teaches us that our suffering is not a sign of failure, but a call to deeper understanding. He argues that human connection is complex, and that distance is often a necessary part of the search for individual meaning. This video will guide you through 5 powerful insights that normalize this painful experience, revealing the hidden dynamics at play and offering a path to peace that respects both your child's journey and your own dignity. The inevitability of the existential vacuum in midlife. When you face this distance, it feels personal. But Frankl invites us to look at the broader existential landscape. Both you and your adult child are likely facing an existential vacuum, a crisis of meaning, at the same time, but in different ways. For you, the vacuum comes from the loss of your primary role. For decades, mother or father was not just what you did, it was who you were. The daily urgency of parenting filled your time and your sense of purpose. Now that the urgency is gone, the vacuum opens up. You look to your child to fill it, hoping their presence will give you that sense of purpose back. For your child, the vacuum is different. They are in the thick of building their identity, career, and perhaps their own family. They are overwhelmed by the pressure to find meaning in a chaotic world. They often distance themselves, not because they don't love you, but because they don't have the energy to fill your vacuum while trying to navigate their own. When you realize that this clash is structural, 2 generations wrestling with meaning in different seasons, it becomes less personal. They aren't rejecting you, they are conserving energy. They are fighting their own battles with the tragic triad of pain, guilt, and finite time. Understanding this shared struggle can transform your resentment into empathy. You are both humans standing before the great question of life. What is expected of me now? The distortion of the Sunday neurosis. Frankl coined the term Sunday neurosis to describe the anxiety that arises when the busyness of the week stops and we are faced with the emptiness of our lives. For many parents over 50, the distance from their children triggers a permanent Sunday neurosis. The quiet house amplifies the feeling of being unneeded. You might find yourself overanalyzing every interaction. Why was their tone so short? Why didn't they ask about my doctor's appointment? You project your own internal emptiness onto their behavior, reading malice. Where there is only busyness or distraction, Frankl teaches that we cannot demand that others cure our neurosis. Your child cannot be the cure for your loneliness. Placing that burden on them pushes them further away. The meaningful truth is that you must face the Sunday neurosis yourself. You must learn to be comfortable in your own company again. This is a spiritual task. It requires you to befriend the silence. When you stop running from the quiet and start filling it with your own interests, thoughts and connection to the larger world, the desperation fades. You become whole again. A parent who is whole is much easier to be around than a parent who is a half, looking for their child to complete them. The paradox of hyper-intention and control. The most common response to distance is to try to close the gap. We call, we text, we plan, we advise, we try to be helpful. But Frankl identified hyper-intention as a trap. When we aim at something too desperately, like intimacy or gratitude, we chase it away. Your adult child feels your hyper-intention as control. Even your help can feel like a critique of their competence. If you are constantly offering advice or trying to fix their problems, you are signaling, "I don't trust you to handle this." This undermines their need for autonomy. They distance themselves to prove to themselves and you that they are capable. It is a rebellion against the helper role you still occupy. The insight here is counterintuitive. To get closer, you must do less. You must practice dereflection, taking your focus off the relationship and putting it onto something else. When you stop trying to manage their lives or the relationship, you remove the resistance. You give them the dignity of making their own mistakes and their own choices. This benign neglect is actually a form of respect. It says, "I trust you." It changes the energy from grasping to releasing. Often, when the pressure is lifted, the child drifts back, because the relationship is no longer a battlefield for control. If you wish to support this work, the thanks button is there for you. Thank you for being here. The meaning of attitudinal values in suffering. Let's be honest, sometimes the distance remains. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the relationship is cold. This is a genuine form of suffering. But Frankl teaches that when we cannot change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This is the realm of attitudinal values. You have the freedom to choose your attitude toward this painful distance. You can choose bitterness, rehearsing your grievances and poisoning your remaining years. Or you can choose tragic optimism. Tragic optimism means acknowledging the tragedy. I miss my child and this hurts, while maintaining an optimistic stance toward life. I still have value, I can still love, I can still find joy. You can choose to be a keeper of the door. You keep the door to your heart open without standing in it screaming. You send love without conditions. You decide that your love is a gift you give because of who you are, not a wage you earn because of what they do. This attitude restores your power. You are not a victim of their silence. You are a protagonist of your own love story. You decide to be a loving parent from afar. You light a candle rather than cursing the darkness. This dignity is something no one can take from you. The responsibility to your own unlived life. Finally, Frankl reminds us that life is always asking us questions. The question of your 50s and beyond is, what is still unlived in you? For years, you may have deferred your own dreams, talents, or needs to raise your children. Now, the distance gives you a stark permission slip. It is time to live the unlived life. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. You have been given a life that is separate from your offspring. You have a duty to explore it. Whether it is art, travel, volunteering, learning a language, or deepening your spiritual practice, there is a you that has been waiting for this time. When you turn your face toward your own future, the pain of the distance changes. It becomes the fuel for your own reinvention. You stop waiting for permission to be happy. You realize that your happiness is your own responsibility. And here is the beautiful secret. A parent who is fully alive, who is interesting and interested in the world, is magnetic. Your adult child is much more likely to want to know the person you are becoming than the parent you used to be. By growing, you give them a new way to relate to you, not as a dependent, but as a fellow adult on a journey. The painful distance from an adult child after 50 is a heavy burden, but it is also a gateway. It is a gateway to a deeper relationship with yourself and with life itself. By understanding the existential vacuum, avoiding the trap of hyperintention, choosing a dignified attitude, and embracing your own unlived life, you can find peace in the space between you. You are not a failed parent. You are a human being in transition. The distance is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter where you learn to stand tall in your own light. Now, I turn this over to you. How are you navigating this new season of life? What passions are you reclaiming for yourself? Please share your story in the comments below. Your resilience inspires us all. If this video brought you comfort, please like it and share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and subscribe to our channel to join a community of parents finding strength, wisdom, and meaning together. You are not alone in this.